boys and girls. My name is Sid Alpha, and welcome to the first episode of 10 for the Reviewer. This is a new series that I decided to start doing to be able to give a more direct method for me to be able to answer questions, concerns, comments, or hate messages left in my videos. Because a lot of things that I've been saying and doing lately have been, some people have been liking, some haven't. So I figured this would be a good way to be able to open up the dialogue a little bit more to see better what you guys expect from me and how I can do better in my videos for you. And I decided that I wasn't going to do 10 questions or 10 comments all in one video because that was just going to be super long, and I have a tendency to get long-winded anyways, and when I start talking for too long I start getting into a little bit of circular logic and repeating myself in small variations and things of that way. And that is something that I am attempting to avoid because it wastes your time, it wastes my time, and nothing really gets accomplished that way. So I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible, but just a little while ago I actually got the perfect comment for me to be able to start with for episode 1. This is from Sean Mitchell. He actually posted this an hour ago at the time that I started recording this. He's posted on quite a few of my videos before. He's always seemed to be slightly on the fence about me, which is understandable because I'm a strange person to figure out. I really am. My brain just works differently than a lot of people's, I've found, and it's really hard for me to be able to track in a way for people to be able to understand and correlate with. But he raised a really very valid concern here, and something that I actually was starting to see a little bit myself after reviewing my previous video involving the Alpha 2.1 patch, and that is that I've been concentrating very much on the critical side of things and not actually I've been a little overly critical. I haven't been taking properly into account that this is still an alpha build, so of course there's going to be problems, there's going to be bugs, and I know I say that a lot, but I haven't really been practicing too much what I preach. And so this is something that Mr. Mitchell has kind of called me out on, and Sean, thank you for this. I really appreciate it. I hope you don't mind me using this for my first video, but I felt it was just really well done comment. I really wanted to bring it to everyone's attention and show this as an example of how I can use your feedback to do a better job for you, and in return do a better job for myself, and something that I will be a lot happier with in the future. So Sean writes, "Man, I really want to like your videos. I really do. But it seems like all the videos I have watched recently have mainly been focused on negativity on the game. The company started from scratch 3 years ago with just a handful of people. It's not like it was a fully operational, staffed company hitting the ground running, and in my opinion the first year was spent getting the company up and going and trying to find a groove and best way to make this game. I feel for only being 3 years into development and the sheer scope of this game, they have made great progress. I have personally written code for game mods, and it is a long process. You can check it out here, and if you go to my Alpha 2.1 video, you can see his comment there, and you'll be able to click on the link, guys. Open up my code in an editor and just see how complex it is. Hell, I have other modders contacting me trying to dissect my code. Not to mention the sheer amount of assets that have to be created and the redesign of CryEngine. I also try to keep a non-biased view of the company myself, but you seem to just try to come out bashing 2.0 and 2.1 is the very first release of bringing all the core game mechanics together, and of course there's going to be a lot of bugs and crashes. Hell, people cry for days about content not being released, then turn right around and complain that it's buggy. Okay, anyways, I do like your videos till you start bashing without giving the other side of the coin. 2.0 and 2.1 is not meant to be the game. It is nothing more than a test bed for them to start bringing features online and try to get bugs smashed along the way. Bugs smashed, yeah. I have no problems with you pointing out all the things that is wrong with the game, none at all, but you're being really one-sided, and honestly it's starting to make you lose me as a viewer. Take it for what it's worth and hope to see more unbiased videos in the future." Now this, Sean right here, this guy, I admit he's probably a smarter person than I am, and hell, he could probably do a better job at this stuff than I can, because damn, that was really well written, really impressive, and it gives me a lot to be able to talk about and think on. Again, this was something that I was starting to realize a little bit myself after I reviewed and rewatched that video. It's like, man, I did kind of concentrate a bit on the negative there. I really didn't tell you guys, you know, even though there's all this stuff going on, and, you know, I did tell you what to expect coming down the pipe in January and February, things like that. However, that's not really telling you the fun parts of the game. I was just bashing on, you know, how dry and bland the additional mission was and things like that. And that's not really something that's... it's not really being very analytical except for being on the surface. So I decided I was going to go back and I was going to review the Alpha 2.1 with a much less critical eye, and I was just going to go through and try and have some fun with it. And but there's no need for you guys to keep looking at this ugly fucker. We'll cut to this gameplay footage of me going through and playing some of the 2.1 while we continue to talk about this. So let me switch over here real quick. Probably work quite a bit better for you guys, as I can actually get the microphone a little bit further away from the walls when I'm like this, so it's not, you know, I try to keep it off camera when I'm recording my face. And I can kind of move it a little bit closer so it doesn't sound quite as echoey when it's closer to my face like this. And that's the main reason why I decided to switch over. So first off, again, just to reiterate, Sean, this was a brilliantly worded and phrased comment, and it very concisely pointed out some of the issues that I was starting to kind of halfway grasp myself, but you were able to just lay it out there exactly how it needed to be said and what exactly has been wrong with a large portion of my videos, and something that I can work towards on correcting and being a lot more balanced and fair in regards to everything moving forward. And I really feel that that's something you guys will probably end up being a lot happier with, is because no one likes a negative Nancy, you know. Nobody likes someone who just bashes on something all the time. It gets tiresome, it gets old, it gets boring. You get tired of hearing it because it starts to sound like the same damn thing over and over again. Blah, 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 it sucked, it's horrible, blah. You know, who wants to deal with that? It's very, very irritating as hell. So I decided, you know what? I'm just not going to put on my reviewer cap for a few hours, and I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to play what's there, and I'm going to have fun with it. And I'll tell you what, guys, I had fun with it. I did. I really did. You know, I was expecting, it's like, oh God, I have to go flip the light switch again. I was expecting all this horribleness, and then I started, because one thing I didn't do in the Alpha 2.1 is I didn't actually go through and deal with the comm relay missions where you're actually fighting pirates and everything. I just mainly concentrated on the new stuff that was there. And, you know, the dogfighting is a bit better than it was before. There's a lot less... I've ran into quite a few issues where I had to, you know, go and grab my mouse and reposition it so my guns would keep firing where I wanted them to, because it would lose that focus while I was moving the joystick around. In the 2.0, that happened quite a bit. In the 2.1, it still happens, but it happens to a much lesser degree, and that actually really helped me get engaged in the dogfighting a little bit more. And that's one of the components of these style of games that I love the most, is the straight up dogfighting and space combats. And damn, I love it so much. And I was actually, instead of half getting wrecked in 2.0, I was actually able to go through and destroy quite a few ships, and that made me feel really good about myself. You know, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It did have a few problems more with the frame rate dropping. Is a lot more prevalent when you're in space combat than not, but I was able to work through it, and I actually ended up figuring out ways to be able to use it to my advantage. So I ended up going through in one run, I ended up going through and decimating these pirates, because the frame rate drops also caused them to sort of freeze in place a little bit. And so I was able to track over and just annihilate an entire group of them without even breaking a sweat. And I found myself laughing at the sheer ridiculousness of it. And in doing so, I actually went through and found a zone that I hadn't actually seen before because I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't engaged at, and when you're having fun, you're engaged, you're looking around a lot more because you're trying to find more stuff. And I ended up running into the ICC probe mission, which I didn't even know was there. It was there in the 2.0, and it is still there in the 2.1. I didn't even know it existed. What the hell? I couldn't believe it. It's like, holy fuck, I've been looking at this stuff so superficially. I couldn't even believe it. It's like, here's this whole other section that I haven't done. And you end up listening to this chick, talking to you, and, she's throws out a couple of creepy statements about being able to watch you and see you and stuff. And I ended up going through, and you've probably seen some of it on the screen, going to that area and ended up getting into combat, and I had some of the weirdest shit happen, where I was in a dogfight with them, and I knew I was in a closed area with a bunch of asteroids, and I ended up flipping around and going, oh god, I'm gonna ram into something. Somehow my ship was positioned just so it automatically deployed landing gear, and I landed on one of the asteroids and then launched myself off and proceeded to wipe out the pirates. Of course, I ended up flying into the beacon and hitting some debris and wrecking because I didn't know you weren't able to fly through it. So I ended up just self-destructing because I wasn't aware that the debris was actually, could cause damage to your ship. But things like that were just like, holy crap, that can actually happen. Your ship my ship automatically decided, I'm going to deploy my landing gear. You're going to land safely instead of crashing into this thing and dying horribly, and then you're going to leap off and destroy both of them. That type of weird-ass shit is stuff that you just can't make up. It's super strange things that are part of what makes some of these games great. And, these super odd things that you have in these dogfighting type games. And I ended up having so much more fun with the game. I've actually been playing the game for about almost 6 hours now so far today. And I decided I wasn't going to put on my reviewer cap, and I was just going to kick back and relax and enjoy myself. And I ended up getting into it a lot more than I thought I was going to. And it's things like that, I think, that are very much missing from my content reviews. And, it's fine. Like Sean said, it's fine pointing out the bugs and the things wrong with it and what could be better and what you're hoping for down the road. But at the same time, if there's something good there, don't forget to put that in too. And that is something that I hadn't been doing, and it is something that I really am going to strive for in the future. And I think that I'll end up having a better time, and I think you guys will end up having a better time too, because I'll probably end up coming away with more weird stories, like my ship suddenly deciding it wanted to land on an asteroid while I was in the middle of a dogfight. A bunch of weird stuff like that just happens, and it's awesome. And you'll probably never be able to repeat it in a million years, and that's one of the things that makes it so great. So thanks again for listening, guys. After taking a second look, the 2.1 really did improve in a lot of different areas over the 2.0, so I'm going to right here kind of redo my review of the 2.1 and kind of state that, yeah, the added mission, it is... I actually missed some of that too, as Terminal Hamster pointed out that there are actually data pads you can find to clear the dead tech of any wrongdoing. Whereas if you just go straight through and flip the light switch, then you don't, and his wife never ends up getting reimbursed or anything like that. And if you do find anything, then she will be able to claim his life insurance, and she'll be able to have at least somewhat of a happy ending despite her husband being lost. And there's a lot of other stuff like that taken out on a surface level, you won't even know is there. You actually do have to go through and find a lot of these little things, and in some ways, part of that discovery process is a lot of the fun. And that's something I was missing because I was deliberately putting blinders on to myself. and that is something that hopefully between my own slowly dawning realization and Mr. Mitchell's blatant "here's what you're doing wrong" slap in the face, and he is 100% correct. Here's hoping I'll be able to do a much better job for you guys in the future. So thanks again, Mr. Mitchell, for pointing that out. I can't thank you enough for putting that so succinctly and so kindly, and being willing to give me a continued chance, because that's you know, it would be so very easily understandable for you to just unsub and be done with it and move on and watch nobody else but Board Gamer and all those others that are actually having fun with the game, instead of people like me who were doing nothing but bashing on it. So as that is the case, there we go. That's part 1, guys, of 10 for the Reviewer, and I really hope moving forward that additional episodes of 10 for the Reviewer, I'm probably only planning on doing 10, hence the name. It's not going to be quite like it's not going to be a direct ripoff of Cloud Imperium's 10 for the Producer, but I just, I thought it was clever, and I thought it would be a really good thing. And it turns out in this case, it could very well be. So hopefully I'll be able to take this lesson to heart and keep it in mind moving forward. Again, 1,000 times thank you to Mr. Mitchell. And once again, my name is Sid Alpha. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click all the buttons, do all the things. And I will see you guys out in the verse.